I used to think I had the perfect life. A charming husband, a cozy home, and a best friend who knew me better than anyone else. Ethan and I had been married for 7 years. He was everything a woman could ask for. At least, that's what I believed. A successful consultant, Ethan often traveled for work. Each time he packed his bags and kissed me goodbye, I felt both pride and a sting of loneliness. But I never doubted him, never questioned where he went or who he was with. And then there was Claire. We met in college, roommates turned soul sisters. She was loud where I was quiet, impulsive where I was careful. But somehow, we balanced each other. She was the maid of honor at my wedding, the godmother to our son, and the person I called when life felt too heavy. That week began like any other. Ethan announced a sudden business trip to Chicago, some conference his company needed him to attend urgently. He kissed me on the forehead, promised to call every night, and left with his usual travel bag and his cologne lingering in the hallway. Claire had invited me for a girls' night out that Friday, but then texted to cancel at the last minute. Something about a family emergency. I didn't question it. People had lives, things came up. But that night, something shifted. I felt off. The house was too quiet. Ethan hadn't called yet, and Claire wasn't responding to my messages. I chalked it up to paranoia, poured myself a glass of wine, and went to bed early. Little did I know, my entire reality was about to collapse. It happened the next morning. I was making coffee when my phone buzzed with a message from an acquaintance, a woman I barely knew from our kids' PTA group. Thought Ethan was in Chicago? Attached was a photo. I almost dropped my mug. It was Ethan, at a beach resort, not in Chicago, and sitting across from him, wearing a sun hat I'd seen in my own closet months ago, was Claire. They weren't just dining. They were laughing, leaning in, sharing a bottle of wine. His hand rested casually on hers. I stared at the screen, my heart slamming against my ribs. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was old, maybe it was photoshopped. But deep down, I knew the truth. I knew Ethan's schedule like the back of my hand. That was the resort we'd visited for our 5th anniversary. I sat down, numb, the taste of betrayal bitter in my mouth. Still, I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I called an old college friend, a private investigator. If my marriage was falling apart, I wanted the whole picture. I wanted the truth, even if it shattered me. I couldn't sleep the night I booked the flight. My heart beat like a drumline, steady, fast, and unrelenting. The confirmation email glowed on my screen like a neon sign flashing, "You're not crazy. You're about to find out the truth." My hands trembled as I shut my laptop. I told Michael I'd be spending the weekend with my sister. He barely looked up from his phone when I mentioned it. Just gave me a distracted, "Tell her I said hi," before returning to scrolling through some meaningless app. The gall of it made my stomach churn. The resort was in Clearwater Beach. I arrived midday Friday. The sunlight felt like a mockery, everything around me so bright and beautiful, while I was unraveling inside. The lobby was filled with happy couples checking in, honeymooners with matching luggage, friends laughing over cocktails. I felt like I was entering enemy territory. I'd called ahead and booked a room under a different name. It was an expensive move, but discretion was key. If Michael spotted me before I was ready, the element of surprise would be lost, and I needed every ounce of shock I could wield when the moment came. Once inside my room, I stepped out onto the balcony and scanned the pool area. Families splashing, waiters delivering drinks, and then I saw him. Michael. He was lounging on a sunbed, shirtless, cocktail in hand. And next to him, in an obscenely tiny bikini, was Lisa. Lisa, my best friend since college. Lisa, maid of honor at our wedding. Lisa, who cried when I miscarried. Lisa, who held my hand when Michael's job took him away for weeks at a time. Lisa, who was laughing now, brushing sand off Michael's chest like she belonged there. I ducked back into the room so fast I almost tripped. My hands were clammy. My vision swam. I'd known, deep down, but seeing it? It hit like a freight train. I wanted to scream, throw something, run down and confront them both in front of everyone. But I didn't. Not yet. I hadn't come this far just to lose my cool. No, this would be strategic. This would be surgical. That night, I ordered room service and planned. By morning, I'd composed a message. I texted Lisa. "Hey, just thinking of you. Miss you. Let's catch up soon. Hope your weekend's good." She replied in minutes. "Miss you too, girl. Just laying low this weekend. Me time. We'll talk soon, XOXO." My jaw clenched so hard I nearly cracked a molar. She was lying to my face while sunbathing with my husband. That was when I knew. This wouldn't just be about catching them. It would be about making them wish they'd never lied to me in the first place. I called the concierge and asked if the resort had any special events that evening. Turns out there was a masquerade party on the rooftop terrace. Exclusive, elegant, perfect. I smiled to myself for the first time in days. If Michael wanted to play games behind a mask, I'd be happy to show him how the queen moves. The night air buzzed with a sultry energy as I slipped into my dress. Black satin, off-shoulder, with a thigh-high slit that whispered danger. The mask I chose was elegant but commanding. Silver with flecks of amethyst that caught the light like secrets waiting to be discovered. I barely recognized myself in the mirror. Good. I wasn't me tonight. Not the trusting wife, not the loyal friend. Tonight, I was a phantom of grace and vengeance, the final act in a story they never saw coming. The rooftop was dressed like something out of a dream. Twinkling fairy lights, live violinists, glasses clinking, laughter spilling into the night. Every face was concealed, yet every body told a story. I scanned the room slowly, carefully. And then I saw them. Michael, looking absurdly confident in a navy suit, mask crooked, drink in hand. Lisa, clinging to his arm in a crimson dress so tight it looked vacuum-sealed. Her mask was gold, feathers sweeping upward dramatically like a bad opera villain. They were laughing. Of course they were. I floated through the crowd, heart pounding in my ears, timing my movements so we circled closer and closer. I waited until they were distracted by some couple trying to impress them with stories of Tuscany. That's when I stepped in, right between them and the bar. Michael turned first. His smile faltered. He didn't recognize me. Not yet. I smiled, coyly, tilting my head just enough to expose the side of my face I knew he'd studied 100 times in bed. His brow furrowed. "Have we met?" he asked, the grin trying to reassemble itself. I didn't answer, just let my fingers lightly brush his as I accepted a drink from the bartender. That small touch made him go still. I saw the flicker of confusion behind the mask. Lisa leaned forward, clearly annoyed by the attention shift. "Nice mask," she said, voice tight. "Love the vampire vibes." Still, I said nothing, just held her gaze longer than comfortable. Then I turned to Michael and said, softly but clearly, "You always did love forbidden fruit." He blinked, and then his expression cracked. "Sarah?" I smiled. "Ding, ding, ding. Winner." Lisa gasped audibly, stepping back like I was radioactive. What are you doing here?" "Me? Oh, just taking some me time." "That's what you're doing, right, Lisa?" I said, cocking my head in mock curiosity. They both floundered. Lisa looked around nervously. Michael tried to step closer, but I held up a hand. "I wouldn't," I said. "You'll stain your designer shoes in the mess you're about to make." My voice was calm, but fire surged through my veins. Around us, guests were starting to notice. A few people nearby pretended not to eavesdrop, failing miserably. "You don't understand," Lisa stammered. "It just happened." "Oh, it happened?" I laughed. "Did it happen while I was crying to you on the phone about how distant he'd been? Or when I showed you the anniversary gift he gave me the same week he booked this trip? Michael opened his mouth, but I cut him off. Number, you don't get to speak yet. You get to listen. To me. For once. There was a trembling in my limbs I tried to suppress. Not from fear. Adrenaline. Victory was a heady drug. See, I came here to confirm what I suspected. But I'm not just here to catch you. I'm here to show you what happens when you gamble away trust for a cheap thrill. I reached into my clutch and pulled out a small envelope. Photos of them, poolside, handsy, and laughing like school kids. I dropped them onto the bar. You didn't just cheat on me, I said, voice low and lethal. You turned my world upside down with a woman I once called my sister. You don't just come back from that. Michael looked ashamed. But Lisa? She looked scared. Good. That's not all, I added, finishing my drink. You'll be hearing from my lawyer next week. And Michael, I hope Lisa's good with finances, because you'll be needing every dime for the settlement. And then, as dramatically as I'd arrived, I turned and walked away. Heels clicking, mask still on, back straight. I didn't cry. Not yet. I had more to do. The days that followed were a storm I had already braced for. But still, nothing prepares you for the wreckage of your own life laid bare. Michael tried to call, then text, then email. His messages ranged from angry to pitiful, cycling through every emotion like a man scrambling to stop a train that had already gone off the rails. Please, Sarah, talk to me. It meant nothing. Lisa manipulated me. We can fix this. Don't do anything rash. You're blowing this out of proportion. But I wasn't blowing anything. I was detonating it, strategically, with precision. And Lisa? She had gone radio silent. I suppose she thought that silence might shield her from the consequences. She was wrong. The moment the photos hit their social circle, courtesy of an anonymous witness at the resort, the gossip spread like wildfire. Lisa's carefully curated image as the sweet, generous best friend shattered in a matter of hours. I didn't just burn the bridge, I paved it in gasoline and lit it in front of an audience. But amidst the vengeance, something unexpected happened. People started reaching out, not to judge, but to support. Women I barely knew from my Pilates class sent messages saying how brave I was. Even Michael's own sister called to say, "You deserved so much better. I always thought Lisa was slippery." That word made me laugh harder than I had in weeks. Meanwhile, I'd begun moving out of the house. Not out of defeat, out of strategy. I wanted no memories, no half-empty wine glasses or wedding photos on mantles. I didn't want to sleep in a bed where I once said, "I love you," while he planned his next betrayal. I found a sleek, sunlit apartment downtown, one I'd always admired from afar but thought was too much for just me. But why not me? I deserved everything. And then came the bombshell I didn't see coming. I was sorting through a box of Michael's old receipts and notes, stuff I had planned to forward to my lawyer, when I found it. A hotel bill, dated months before the trip to the resort. Different city, different woman's name, not Lisa, a different affair. My hands trembled as I reread the bill. I felt the now familiar ache in my chest, but this time something colder settled in. Not sadness, not rage, disgust. Michael hadn't just made a mistake with Lisa. He had systematically betrayed me, multiple times, multiple women, each lie buried beneath another, like nesting dolls of deception. Lisa wasn't special. She wasn't even the first, just the latest. And suddenly, I saw everything clearly. The late nights, the random mood swings, the moments of emotional distance I had blamed on stress, or myself, or life. It wasn't stress. It was infidelity. It was him. So I did what I always do best now. I acted. I gathered everything. Photos, receipts, emails. I gave them to my lawyer, who barely blinked before saying, "We can easily push for infidelity as grounds for divorce. This settlement will bleed him dry." I nodded. But I wasn't after just money. I wanted him seen. for who he really was. So I booked a table at a charity gala we used to attend together. Black tie, high profile. Everyone in our social sphere would be there, and I made sure Michael would get an invite. Sent anonymously, of course. I wore a red dress this time. No mask, no subtlety. When I walked in, people stared. Some whispered, others smiled. Women raised their glasses to me like silent warriors paying tribute. And Michael? He stood frozen by the bar, drink half lifted as I made my way through the room with confidence he'd never seen in me before. I smiled. He did not smile back. I'd never looked more radiant or more untouchable. That night, I didn't just reclaim my dignity. I owned it. The night of the gala marked a shift, not just in how others saw me, but in how I saw myself. For so long, I had lived within the frame of my marriage. Supportive wife, loyal friend, dependable woman. But those titles had come with strings, and those strings had strangled me for years. That night, I cut them all. The fallout continued in the weeks that followed. Michael, after his stunned silence at the gala, tried once more to worm his way back in. He sent flowers, dozens. Then a letter, handwritten, as if nostalgia could somehow rewrite the past. Sarah, I made mistakes, but Lisa meant nothing. Those other women, none of them meant anything. It was stress, confusion. I lost sight of what mattered. Please let me make things right. It might have worked on a version of me that still believed in him, but I wasn't her anymore. I didn't respond. Instead, I had my lawyer draft a final, brutal settlement agreement. Full alimony, half of everything. The house, the investments, even his precious boat. I let him keep the car, just one. I signed it and sent it over. He tried to contest at first, claimed it was too harsh, that he didn't deserve to be punished. But with the mounting evidence of multiple affairs and the quiet but steady loss of reputation in his business circle, his lawyer must have told him what mine already knew. He didn't have a leg to stand on. He signed. It was over. As for Lisa, she sent me a message. Just one. You won. Happy now? It made me laugh. Not out of cruelty, but because she still didn't get it. This wasn't about winning. It was about freedom. The final chapter of my revenge wasn't something dramatic. It was quiet. Soft, even. I sat on the balcony of my new apartment, legs tucked under me, watching the city lights shimmer in the distance. A glass of wine in hand, a book on my lap, and peace in my chest. For the first time in years, I wasn't anxious about someone else's mood swings. I wasn't bracing for betrayal or wondering if I was enough. I wasn't walking on eggshells. I was just me, whole, untethered, free. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever forgive Michael or Lisa. The truth is, I don't need to. I don't carry them with me anymore. They can keep their regrets, their excuses, their broken promises. I have my own story now. One where I'm no longer the background character in someone else's drama. I'm the author. And I'm just getting started.